Hello and welcome to Rage Crit. My name is Jay, and today I want to talk about whether or not Shadespire slash Night Vault are actually going to be a little bit too similar to Warcry. Now, I realise I'm obviously jumping the gun here before anybody comments. We don't 100% know what Warcry is, so to say are they going to be too similar is a little bit like, right, how can you even ask this question? But I'll get to why I think it's actually an appropriate question in a moment. Before I do that, if you like the video, then at the end of the video, do press like. It really does help. And if you're new to the channel, you've not yet subscribed, please do consider doing that, as that also helps. So I'm not saying that they are similar in the way that they play, because we, at the moment, under the time of recording, we do not know that. We do not know how they play. Well, we know how one of them plays, but we do not know how Warcry plays. And we're probably not going to for a little while. So what do I mean, are they too similar? I think basically what I'm saying is they are going to be small-scale Age of Sigmar games. Whether or not they play similar or not may not be relevant to the mind space of some of the audience. If you're a player of Night Vault right now and you've heard and seen that Warcry is on the way, do you think that's negatively impacting the future audience of Night Vault? I really want to call it Shadespire. Can't believe they just didn't stick with Shadespire as a name. It's such a cool name. Yeah, so that's all that. It's essentially all that I mean. It's that people who are coming into it, or once these games have been announced and revealed, like once Warcry is fully announced and revealed, what choice are they going to be given? If you say, I want to play a small-scale Age of Sigmar game, you've got essentially three options, I think. You've got the skirmish game, that is sort of a smaller point game of Age of Sigmar, I believe. I've never actually played that or seen too much of it. You've got Night Vault, which isn't Shadespire, which differentiates itself in a few ways. It's the hexagonal board game with set war bands, and the only thing that really you can change are those cards, and it's got that deck building element. And then you've got Warcry, which is the free-flowing skirmish game, sort of more, we think, in the style of Kill Team. So there are differences, like from just that explanation, you can sort of see and hear and imagine that these games are going to play differently. The problem with that is how many people pick a game based on that criteria. So if I now want to get into, and I do, want to get into a small scale Age of Sigmar game, why would I pick Night Vault when it's the older game and Warcry is going to be the newest hotness? Like, yeah, if you're a fan of Night Vault already, you're probably just going to keep playing that and be fine. You might even get tempted by Warcry once it comes out, but because it's like, oh, shiny stuff. I like shiny stuff. We all like shiny stuff, don't get me wrong. People like the newness because that's generally where a lot of audience gravitates to naturally. So yeah, even though I can personally see the differentiation between these main two games of Night Vault and Warcry, presuming I am correct in it's not going to be a hexagonal board. We've seen the trailer and that kind of thing. It doesn't look like that would be the case. So we're going to have key differences, but whether or not they're too similar based on general audience perception, I think they might be, and I think to the detriment of the older one. Like, if it was the other way around, if Warcry was out and then Night Vault Shadespire was getting announced, I'd be like, and I was playing Warcry, I'd be like, this is tempting. And it's always to do with the newness. People just like to have, like new stuff. We've got those incredible looking chaos models. We've got a new rule set. We're going to have a new hype around the game. GW works, it like thrives off the newness factor, doesn't it, really? So whatever is the new game, if it's similar to a previous game, then the previous game's a little bit a threat in just a natural way. Like, I think it doesn't matter that they're possibly going to be quite different. Like the logistics of the game with the hexagonal board and the probably fully 3D board of Warcry, it doesn't matter that we can see the difference. It doesn't matter that there's a deck building element in one and it's more competitive than, say, Warcry. It almost doesn't matter to a lot of people. A lot of people will just be judging it based on ooh, this is new, this is cool, I like these new models, this is shiny, this is the new game, a lot of people are going to play this, or Shadespire Nightvault, that's old, I'm not interested in that. So I think GW are doing this thing where they're doing a lot of boxed games anyway, and they're sort of flooding themselves out of the market, but they're doing that intentionally, I believe. Like, it's not a surprise, it's not a shock when they do got the Speed Freaks game, and then like a month or two after they did Kill Team. That's not a shock, and that's by design, because they're thinking essentially people like this newness, and the people maybe who didn't buy Kill Team, oh, well, I like 40k orcs, I'm gonna buy Speed Freaks. They're excuse me, I get a bit close to the mic because I'm very intense about this. They're trying to capture that newness feel. That's why Games Workshop release so many products so quickly, and it doesn't hurt their sales, because people like going like, oh, that's good. They're always hyped about something. It's that water cooler moment that we used to have when, like, in the 90s, when people watched TV. People like to go to the store excuse me, I'm losing my voice. They like to go to the store, talk about this new game, and be like hyped about it. And that's GW's like thriving ground. It's where they really do their best like business. Well, I mean, it's not. I think 40k Space Marine's probably where they do their best business. What I mean is, it's where they obviously like have found a very easy way of generating hype that everybody can pick up. Like, everybody can go pick up a box of Nightvault if you want it. Everybody will be able to go pick up this Warcry box, and then you'll have like a fully fledged game on its own. Like, you won't need anything else. Whereas 40k, they're like, well, we release some new box of Space Marines versus whatever faction. Oh, people will like them Space Marines. And don't get me wrong, I like them Space Marines. So, like, yeah, I just think my point here in this whole video is that the games may not play similarly. Like, I think that's a given. Warcry Nightvault is a hexagon, they're on hex bases. It's a board with hexes, and you've got your deck building element, right? And the squads, I think, I may be wrong, but I think you buy a warband, and then the minutes in that are fixed, and then you do your cards. I could be wrong, I've never actually played it, but I can see how that game, it's competitive as well. It's got that deck building element. It's designed so you just sit over across from each other at the like Magic the Gathering kind of tables, and you go ahead like that, right? It's competitive, it's differentiating. Warcry, we think, I can't 100% be sure about this, but it's looking more and more like a kill team for Age of Sigmar, which I'm happy about, don't get me wrong, that's exactly what I want in my life right now. And you might be like, well, they're different enough, Jay. It's just, yes, they are going to play differently, but when you look at GW's like market, it's an Age of Sigmar, small scale Age of Sigmar game that's one's new and one's old. It sort of feels like they're going to collapse a little bit in terms of market share. Now, if I am completely wrong, then fair enough. But if I played, my mum's ringing me. I mean, it is Mother's Day, to be fair, but just put that down. Not interested in her right now. If I played Nightvault, I think I'd two things. One, I'd be a little bit worried that Warcry is going to take some of my plays, and two, I'd be a little bit like, maybe I should play Warcry when it gets announced and when we get to see more of it. So GW aren't worried. It's a win-win situation for them, essentially. The only people who they would really hurt would be the people who played Nightvault, who quit Nightvault and don't play any more GW games. But we're all addicted to this plastic crack, you know, like from GW. Most people just, if you leave one GW game, you probably gravitate to another. So yeah, I think GWs are in a win-win situation. So I'm just a little bit worried. I think that the games are going to be similar if you were a player of those of Nightvault. But other than that, it's when I say are they too similar? Yes, if you're a player of Nightvault, no, if you're Games Workshop, they don't really care. They think they're going to come out of it on top no matter what. And I sort of agree with them. It sort of goes down to a bigger point that the skirmish games are actually these small scale games. The shelf life, you're looking at maybe 2, 3, 4 years, I think. Kill Team may be an exception to this. If Kill Team sort of hit a critical mass, I think, where like it may just be its own thing and big enough to sustain it forever now. They might never be able to get rid of it because it's just going to remain so popular. But other games, it's not necessarily the case. It sort of feels like something else is going to replace something else. What's weird about that is obviously Necromunda stuck around for a while, Blood Bowl stuck around for a while, but there's a fine point, isn't it, between those games that are sort of classic games. Warcry and Nightvolt, not really classic, only came out a few years ago, one's coming out this year, so we don't really know how they're going to sit in maybe like 5-10 years time. And it's just this case of they do a box game, they do this sort of like box games that we're going to support for a couple of years, another individual box game we're going to support for another years. They're just sort of like going through this process, and it's hard to really know what GW's like 10-year plan is, so I'm not going to try and say that I know that. But yeah, for sure, if I was a Nightvolt player right now, I'd be mildly concerned, but not like, I mean, not amazingly so. I think those people now, they've built up a big enough audience that people will just stick with Nightvolt. But I would be concerned about maybe the releases. Maybe the releases are going to start slowing down once they've got to also do Warcry. I could be completely wrong. Maybe they're not similar at all. Maybe people will just put them in their heads in different places and that'll be it. But to me, I'm like, oh, what are we doing here, GW? And I haven't quite made my mind up. Let me know your thoughts though. Do you think Warcry and Nightvolt are a little bit too similar? Just as I said, not in the way that they play, but in the sort of sphere that they occupy. I mean, GW capitalize, what is the word? They like go over themselves all the time. So is this just another example we won't be talking about in 2 years because we'll have Warcry and Nightvolt? Or do you think in 2 years time it'll just be Warcry and Nightvolt will be nowhere? So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on that. Have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Anything else, Jay? No, I've rambled a little bit on this one. I do apologise. Have a beautiful day though. And goodbye.